Hi, I'm Luke Ford, and I'm here with my friend Leanne. I met Leanne through YouTube. I noticed her commenting on several of my videos, and so I was always impressed with her spelling and punctuation. And so many people get very lazy with their spelling and punctuation. So I was very impressed with your spelling and punctuation. And we're both converts to Judaism. So you live in the UK, you live in England, I believe, and thought English Judaism's a little different in that it's probably the toughest place in the world for someone to convert to Judaism, particularly Orthodox Judaism in England. But I'm just curious how you became interested in Judaism, and then what was it like to convert to Judaism?
Okay, so I guess it's kind of been like, I like to consider it as like a journey that I've been on. But I guess the shorter story is that like when I was a kid, from about the age of 9, like I had this interest in like archaeology and like the ancient Egyptians, and a Christian home. So like I would go to church. I was taught to Bible and to believe in God and whatnot. And my interest in the Bible kind of fused with my interest in archaeology. So it started with the ancient Egyptians and like the pyramids and whatnot, but then it kind of became like a fixation on the Exodus story. So and then from then on, I just wanted to find out more about as Christians say, like the Exodus story, and joined with like archaeologies that had been found. I started with that, and then when I looked into like the Jewish people and like how they became a people, it kind of went, the curiosity with the people, like what being Jewish meant and the different customs and whatnot, kind of grew. My interest grew, and because basically I'm from an area in London, northwest London, and it's like infamous, the biggest Jewish community I think in like Europe or somewhere. There's like a place called Golders Green and whatnot. They're not too far away from like where I've grown up. So for instance, I would go shopping with my mum family, and there's a place called Brent Cross where like a lot of Jews would hang, a lot of Orthodox Jews, like whether they'd go to like to shop there, to go to sports shops and whatnot, stuff. And I'd always happened to like see Jewish people and interested in like the Bible and whatnot. I didn't know the practical aspects of the religion really. Why, for instance, Jews would wear like yarmulkes on their heads, like male, and like the tzitzit hanging from like they're like. So I wanted to find out what those meant, and I'd always observed like, but I didn't know like what they were. So one day, I think I was talking with my mum, and then my mum told me that one of my neighbors was Jewish, and I didn't know this because like it never come up in a conversation before with them. But it's like they were a really friendly neighbor that my mum talked to a lot. So she kind of raised the question with them and explained what these things are, and they did. Basically, they started writing down all the information because I was asking them questions about Judaism, and they'd write it down on a piece of paper, like how to spell the word tzitzit and other things. And then I'd go and I'd research that, what it was, what it meant, like the religious connotations and whatnot. And from there, I kind of got interested. So yeah.
So how old were you when you were asking your neighbor about tzitzit and getting it written down and researching it?
I think like 13, because it was around the age that I was getting confirmed. So because like, I mean, obviously I was kind of like I guess I could say a religious Christian, but I was raised in the Church of England, which is, I guess, more of a live-in. But I was about the time of my confirmation that I was. So yeah, I was, I guess, my early teens.
And then how did it progress from there?
Well, during my, because as well as I was going to a Catholic girls' school, even though I wasn't Catholic myself, but we do a lot of classes on. We obviously had to study religious education. That was a core subject we had to do, and there was a unit that we actually did on and something like something Passover, and that got really interesting, like kind of key concepts. Like I didn't know that. Obviously, I knew that Jews didn't believe in the New. I didn't know like the name, the Hebrew scriptures, like was like the Tanakh. Like I didn't know that. I didn't know what it stood for. But in that like Catholic school RE classes, that little unit gave me some insight into Judaism a bit more. I guess it started from there, really. Also because like, sorry. Yeah, so I was when I was getting confirmed, I was like I'm always the type of person to ask questions about things. So as I was getting confirmed, and like my family and whatnot, because like even my mom was getting confirmed at this time, because even though we were religious, she never really had one when she grew up. So she didn't have a confirmation. So we all took the classes together, and like there would be questions about or things that would come up about like Jesus, like how he's like supposed to be the Son of God, and like the whole like story of his crucifixion and whatnot. And like I always had questions, like kind of, I guess I could say doubts, because I'd always remember, because we'd go to church a lot, there was something that we would read. I think it was the Nicene Creed or something, like every single time we went to church. I for some reason, the words kept on sticking in my head. Like it split into like three paragraphs, I think. God the Father, God the Son, the Holy Spirit, and whatnot. And the bit about confused, because like in the Bible, in the Old Testament, I knew this from like going to Sunday school and whatnot. And it said you're not supposed to worship any other gods, and you're not supposed to have idols. It doesn't say anything about God taking human form in those pages, but in the Nicene Creed, it said, Son of God, and he became flesh. I could never really get to grips with that myself, like a religious Christian. From when the questions started to arise with things like that, that's how I kind of myself, even after, during and after my confirmation. So I guess like my first experience with Judaism and the Jewish religion and stuff was kind of, I guess, via Christianity. Like more specifically on like, there was like, I remember this now, there was to be on the television called the God Channel, and it was like a Christian televangelist kind of channel. It had a few like Jewish programs on there as well. Well, I say Jewish, but now I know them as being like but they about like Judaism and over and about like the biblical places like Hebron, and so I was exposed, I guess, via Christianity to Judaism.
And when did you decide that you wanted to actually convert to Judaism?
I think it was like probably about a year or two after that. Like, so I must have been about 15, I think, 15, possibly 16. That was when I found out that you could convert. And by that time, like my doubts about Christianity and like God like became full circle. So I just knew now that that wasn't something that I believed in. With. And I guess the good thing about it was that at the same time when that happened, like not long after my confirmation, my family, like we left the church, even though I'd like grown up in this church and whatnot, but that was going on in the church. So like we decided to leave, and from then on that kind of left me a gap with like not going to church. So then I was like, okay, maybe I should find either somewhere that I would belong, like a church, maybe that I could like so religious or anything, or just to find somewhere where I could fit in. So Mum let me choose, and I was like, okay, I don't really want to be a Christian anymore, but where is there that I can really go? So what I first initially had these beliefs, I was like, I don't really believe in Jesus, and I don't want to be a Christian anymore and stuff, like a Unitarian congregation. So I found it, and I went there, and I must have gone about 3 times. And I tried it out. I was like, okay, this is different. But it was like, I don't know if you've ever been in a congregation, but it's like, it's kind of devoid of, it's just so basic. It's like, believe in Jesus, and then they don't really have a kind of faith to go along with that. It's just a place that people would just go to, like not necessarily to pray, but just to kind of, I guess, meditate or just think. And I couldn't see myself being there. So I was like, okay, now I don't want to be Christian anymore. And I've tried out Unitarianism, and I don't want to do that. And the only other option is to, like, I don't know, to become Jewish or something. But at the time I didn't really know how to do that. So I kind of just, but kept my thoughts thinking that I couldn't be Christian anymore. And then with like the internet, you can find anything. So I started looking on like YouTube for like if there was any information about converting to Judaism or anything, or on Google. And then I found out that there is a bet din for to Orthodox Judaism in the in this country. So I think I remember contacting them. Obviously, I was like 16 or something at this time. And when I contacted them, I think the email I got back, they said I was like too young or something, like pursue conversion. But at that age, I was kind of like, oh, like, but I'm 16. I'm old enough to make decisions. Like I thought,
right.
Why would they say no? Or why would I be considered too young? So I don't know. Like, if you want to like denomination or whatnot, you can just go to like a church or something. It doesn't matter what age you are.
Right.
Just get used to that kind of response. So I was like, okay, fine. So what should I do? So I asked them. I emailed them, and they said, oh, you can wait until you're 18 to process or something. So I said, okay. So then forward like 2 years, and I was like, okay. I emailed them back, and I even called them up as well. And next is that because at this time I was thinking of going to university, and I say I was thinking of going to university, but it was also the fact that my parents were in university, so it, like saying no would be like I would have to go to university anyway, even if I did university. So I thought, okay. So when I applied for universities, and I was thinking of studying like Hebrew, because like my interest, right, like in Judaism and whatnot, like point that I was willing to do a degree in that and nothing else.
Yeah.
So and they have that in a few universities here. So I was trying to apply to study Hebrew and Jewish studies at university. So I did, and I contacted the Bet Din, and then they said that even if I was studying that they don't accept university students. I was like, okay, what do I do now? Like, okay, so I waited 2 years to get to this point, and then now I find out that I can't at this age, when I'm going to university. I was kind of like, so I was like, okay, what do I do now? So, and then like I got some advice from somewhere. I think I was like networking on social media with people and like making YouTube videos and whatnot. And I was trying to find out, what do I do if I can't convert? And then obviously I found out about which most people usually do find out about when they're looking about conversion, or if it's not possible. And for Noahide laws, I was like, okay, temporarily, or I'd never heard of this, so I was like, this is interesting, okay, but like a path I wanted to, it was more like I won't do anything, I'll kind of that for a bit and see where it goes, and I'll be happy being this way, and then when I can convert, I like, you know. So I guess I just kind of like I didn't for the next few years I didn't really pursue conversion, but I kind of did. It was always in the back of my mind. I was like, I want to convert. This is my end goal. I want to do this. And so I basically just hide and just like would learn by like watching videos on the internet of like shiurim and stuff, on websites, like trying to find out as much as I could about Judaism, like by myself, loads of books and stuff. Like, because actually I did end up going to uni to study Hebrew, but it wasn't the course I wanted. But I was still, it gave me a firm grounding in the language. The university that in Manchester, which is another place where they have like Jewish community. There, I didn't really get to interact so much with Jews, with the exception of like with like my teachers and like a few of my classmates who were also studying Hebrew, who were like Jews. There, I was still a Noahide there, but I did make an appointment to meet with a rabbi from Chabad campus. I told him about how I wanted to convert, and he was like, oh, this is all that you want to do this, and like all the steps you've taken and stuff. If the Bet-Din says that they can't convert you because you're in university or something, they can't do that. But he did classes at his Chabad house, but to take him up on that offer because I ended up leaving my university for other reasons. I didn't do that, but then I did find out about a Noahide class in London, because I started going to a university in London, and I started attended as in a place called Stamford Hill, which really like ultra Orthodox kind of Jewish community neighborhood.
Yes.
They had their like headquarters in the UK there, so that's where I used to go to classes. The only thing with those classes though, that they weren't very regular, so it was like every year, because like to go to a class that would happen like pretty regularly, like maybe weekly or monthly or something, but it didn't really happen very often. So those up until like year in October, and so from I kind of got a bit there was a phase where I didn't really want to go anymore. I was like, okay, the whole Noahide path, I didn't really want to in the first place, and now I've like about it and stuff, I'm deadly sure that that's not what I want to do. So I thought to myself, okay, if I can't convert Orthodox, then there must be another way that I can convert in this country, like for the time being, or at least so I can like build up like relationships with people in the Jewish community and be involved in Judaism in some way. So I decided to look about other ways of converting in the UK. So I'm converting that's Northwest London, not far from my house. But it was like it's a peculiar synagogue because it's like I think they're from like the German liberal tradition or something like that. But they're very conservative. conservative in like their traditions and whatnot. So I guess that makes it a like conservative or Masorti synagogue. But yeah, I found that. I spoke to a rabbi. At first, I think I emailed, and then he invited me to meet him, and then I met with him and spoke with him, and he asked me about it in Judaism, like synagogue and like all the stuff I'd done so far, and then he basically just accepted me more or less right away on his on their. Yeah, so I ended up there, and that's what I'm doing now.
And have you finished the Masorti conversion process?
No, because I've only been going for about a month, but I did contact the Bet Din because I actually contacted them. I think or something when I was like looking at the possibility of converting with other movements, and I think the at that Bet Din already knows me, but I actually submitted the form recently, the official form of like the fee and whatnot, to actually process and not to actually meet with the Bet Din. So I haven't heard back from them yet, but I think the guy knows who I am. So, and I think they probably. But yeah, I don't know going on with that yet, but I should probably find out in the next coming weeks. But as far as like a synagogue, like everything's been nice. Like the people I've met there have been really friendly. And the board of the people on the board of the synagogue, like they've come up to me sometimes. They've been like, oh, like hello, like how hi, nice to meet you. I'm so and so. Like so what brings you here and stuff, and they say, oh, like, oh, that's great, you want to convert, wow, that's wonderful, how are you finding classes and stuff. People have been really friendly, and lots of the congregants there, I think they were like Holocaust survivors, so I guess a lot of them are really like happy to see like faces and like younger people coming into the synagogue, so like it's been really cool.
So you've been very persistent, because converting to Judaism is not easy, and Jews aren't exactly seeking converts. So you've had this persistent drive for many years to become Jewish.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's like when I meet people and like all the stuff I've done kind of to get me to this point, a lot of them, I guess that helps them in terms of or helps me in terms of like me, because like I've told them all the stuff I've done, all the steps I've taken, and like they kind of probably think like, oh, like wow, she really must be serious. So I guess that's helped as well.
So what classes did you do best in at school? What are your best subjects?
Like I've always been like a princess person, but languages is probably the thing that I've been best at with most things, because I do Hebrew at university, but I guess I chose that also because I was good at language. So in social sciences, sort of languages, my other interest was Spanish. So I guess I've always been good at Spanish. I started teaching myself when I was about 9, so I've all the way up until I was 18, I think, 18 to do that alongside Hebrew as well, but at university, but doing that. So I guess, yeah, languages, I think. Languages and social sciences. Right now I'm doing politics, well, international relations at university, but languages and social sciences.
And what are your political views? I believe you're on the right. Are you right wing?
Yeah, definitely on the right. I think, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say centrist right, but I'm on the right, but not far right though either. So I guess I'm conservative in terms of views, small c conservative. But like I I'm about talk because they're very important in this day and age, especially like in the UK as well. I mean, obviously we had the recent as well, and definitely in terms of views for most things.
Yeah. So what's your attitude towards studying Torah? Is that something you enjoy?
Oh yeah, I do. But I definitely think I'm more of like a read from books kind of person, watching videos kind of person. But
Yeah.
I kind of get a bit subconscious. I don't know what it is, but like I get a bit subconscious when I'm like, if I'm studying, like I'm like, oh, am I doing this right? Am I studying this? I kind of automatically kind of think to myself, am I studying this how anyone else would study this, or am I like doing what I should in terms of like I definitely find videos and stuff to be more helpful, or like and whatnot, and like things and relating them to like real life and whatnot. But it's the whole reading like the Torah and like reading commentaries and stuff has been like really helpful as well. It gives you like alternative views that you wouldn't necessarily like think of yourself and stuff. And I guess also because like I do like SE subjects and like social sciences and whatnot, it's kind of also I'm finding it's easier now to critically analyze things.
Yeah.
As I read like any biblical stuff. Yeah, I grab something that's for me, I think.
Now, I noticed when I converted to Judaism that the way Jews read and study the Hebrew Bible is very different from the way Christians read and study the Old Testament. So even though the words are the same, it's they might as well be two different books.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a difference, I think. Yeah, and also I think a lot of the stuff that like a lot of like Christians, like when they learn the Bible, like they have a tendency to just read and take like the words that they've got from like or whatnot, and not really question anything.
Yeah.
Whereas Judaism, like there's like questioning is a really, really big aspect.
Yeah.
Seeing things for yourself and finding out things, rather than just reading something, getting one interpretation and saying, okay, that's it, can't question it, and that's final. So yeah, I definitely noticed a difference there.
And yeah, Jews tend to be very smart. They tend to be
but yeah, I think it's
you know, it's a very intellectual.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Something that I've found very exciting. Go ahead.
The second time I went to, definitely, like I had like a really like intellectual a lady I met at the cinema. I think she was a lady who, she said that she's also a Holocaust survivor, but she ended up going to Israel, and she was about like the whole history of the conflict with the Palestinians and whatnot and stuff, and like we were just having a really about things. So I guess I kind of I do. Seems like a very, very intelligent in general. That tends to know a lot about.
How have your friends and family reacted to your interest in converting to Judaism?
Well, I guess I've been lucky really, because I've like heard other stories of other people saying like their families have abandoned them or told them that they're going to hell and stuff and completely cut off contact and whatnot. But with me, like my family, I guess, have mostly always been supportive. I say mostly because in the beginning, obviously, like I mean, it's not every day that someone's child comes up to them and says, "Oh, I don't believe what you believe anymore, and I want to convert to Judaism," at like a really young age. So, like, I mean, I did that in the beginning. I think it was more my sister, because she's like I guess you could say an evangelical Christian. When we left the church, we took very different paths. Like, she decided to go Pentecostal evangelical Christian, versus I decided not to. Like, I mean, I obviously went to wherever she went, but I went to, that's probably a story for another. Yeah, with like, she did tell me, she was worried, like, you're probably going to go to hell. A lot of Christian people, to hear that someone doesn't believe in anymore and think, oh, or anything. And I'm not well, but I wouldn't say she was the most religious person, because I guess she's not really the type to like, and then like go and leave us and let us stay there, and she'll pick us up when it's done, like that kind of person. So she's always been more positive about it. And in the beginning, because they thought I was so young, and they were like, okay, it must be a phase. But in the end, they were like, okay, yeah, she's getting more serious at this now, and they didn't try to discourage. I mean, before they would be like, oh, maybe, do you want to come to church with me? And I'd say no, and they'd be like, oh, are you sure? And they'd be like, no, and they'd be like, fine. They've kind of accepted I'm serious.
Yeah.
My mom's probably done to help me on that journey, I guess. But for instance, to a bar mitzvah one. Oh yeah, I'll come with you to go to buy a bar mitzvah card and stuff to wear and whatnot. Like one home about like, so like just little things like so my mum knows, like my mum's with my sister. Before, we were just getting into arguments about religion, talk about it at some point, but like now we can kind of do like sometimes Judaism, which is like I find really nice, I guess. Sort of like my older brother siblings who are like adults and have their own, and like they're not particularly religious, but they do ask me about Judaism as well. I think there's a really Christmas with my family. It's kind of and basically siblings about them for Christmas, even though they're more open and understanding. I guess also kind of interested like my desire to convert and whatnot. So they've been genuinely supportive.
Yeah. Now, we're having a lot of sound quality issues, so I'm actually going to stop the broadcast. We'll have to do it again, further in more depth and get into the Parsha when we can do better with the sound quality, but it seems to cut out every few seconds. So hang on, I'm just going to stop the broadcast and I'll talk to you privately.